Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. I know it's a bit into 2025 already, but I still wanted to take the time to showcase my favorite reads from 2024. You may be looking at me right now and thinking, Disney adult. That's valid. That's valid. This is Remy and he's just going to be here for emotional support throughout this video. So before we dive into my top 10 favorite books of 2024, I do have a list of honorable mentions. They are in no particular order other than rainbow order based on their color. Seriously, narrowing down your favorites in like a ranked list is so difficult. The only thing that I have number-wise is my favorite book of the year, and I love that for myself. Starting off this list, we have Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. This is the first book in her Dungeons and Drama series. This is a YA rom-com. I read this back in January of 2024 and it remained on my top list for quite literally the entire year. We follow our female main character Riley, and she got grounded for stealing her mom's car, so as her punishment she had to work at her dad's board game shop. She convinces this guy Nathan to cover some of her shifts so she can still be part of her spring musical, and in return they kind of fall into a fake dating arrangement. I gave this 5 stars and I can't wait to read this sequel. The next book we have is Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn. I would have never read this if it wasn't for Aardvark Books. I picked this up with my monthly subscription and it was quite possibly the best decision I've ever made. That might be a stretch, but you guys get what I'm saying. If you're a messy and unbothered girl, you really don't care about what anyone else has to say, this is literally the perfect book for you. In here we follow our main character Astrid, and she is an author based in Los Angeles. This book contains a book within a book element because in here she's trying to revive her career while also focusing on her love life, discovering more about herself, and just trying to live a better life for her. This book was totally unhinged. It was messy, it was full of pop culture references, there were toxic relationships, it's lesbian as hell, so if that's your thing, this is for you. The self-deprecating humor in here was chef's kiss. I just cringed at saying chef's kiss, but it was just so good. This cover is absolutely stunning. I know I wasn't the intended audience for this book, but I ate it up nonetheless. The next little book that we have here is William by Mason Coyle. I just found out within this past week that this author just passed away from unexpected problems with cancer, so that is so sad that I am just now getting to read some of his books. I will definitely have to look up his backlist because I know he has written more under this name. I just haven't discovered his works until now. This little novella is like psychological horror meets tech-based AI. The audiobook for this is really good. I was listening to it really late at night in my bed and I literally sat up and audibly gasped at like one of the last twists in here. It totally caught me off guard. There's unhinged killings, which I am a sucker for nowadays. This was demonic. It was a slasher. There was also a lot of conversations about AI, and after reading this, if my washer, dryer, shower, etc. ever malfunctions by itself, I am leaving, I am moving, I am finding somewhere else to go. I gave this one 4.5 stars. The next honorable mention that I have is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This is the 3rd book in the Every Summer After series. I'm not sure if there's an official name for it, but they're all companion romances that take place during summer. This romance follows Lucy and Felix. It takes place on Prince Edward Island, which I want to book a trip and go there immediately. This romance just felt so real. It was between two people who needed to find out more about themselves before committing to one another. There are very real conversations in here. I gave this one 5 stars. If you get grossed out by oysters, maybe don't read this. I get grossed out by oysters, but let's just say I have a new appreciation for them. This 5-star book is The Days I Loved You Most by Amy Neff. I read this as one of my last books of 2024 just on a whim, and it literally knocked out Bride from my honorable mentions. When I tell you I sobbed while reading this, I will put a picture of myself on the screen. I was seriously unwell and I never cry at books. If you want to get the same vibes as the movie The Notebook, this is the book for you. This is a debut novel, which is just mind-blowing to me. This is like a timeless tale of devotion, love, the easy and the hard parts of relationships. This story took place from when they first met in 1940 until current day. The joy, the sacrifices, everything about this was just perfect, and I wish I could reread it again for the very first time. Y'all know what they say about save a horse and ride a cowboy. This is done and dusted, the first book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage. This romance was seriously so good and got me to read the other 2 published books in this series. The family dynamics, the found family, the friends, the relationships, the small town, just everything about this. I wish I could just dive into this world. Also, Lila Sage knows what she's doing when she writes a father-daughter relationship, because when I tell you I was sobbing, I was. Are we sensing a theme here? This next one is a thriller that snuck its way onto my list, and it's Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. This book has quite the shine to it. I'm telling you, I'm so surprised that this book made its way onto this list. I got an early audiobook copy of this book through the Macmillan Audio Influencer Program. I ate it up. I loved it so much. So when it was one of the Book of the Month picks, I obviously had to get it. But I don't know if you should take my advice on this one or not. I've been seeing not a lot of great things about it. This was about marriage, but most importantly, revenge. To pitch this book, I'm going to leave you with one quote. Wives think their husbands will change, and they never do. Husbands think their wives won't change, and they always do. I gave this 4.5 stars. It was amazing. I bought my dad this for Christmas, and hopefully he gets around to reading it soon. Here we have The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This was another aardvark book selection that I wouldn't have found otherwise. Within here, we follow a college-aged woman on a revenge mission. But the only thing about her is that she has a slight fascination with eyeballs, but more importantly, consuming eyeballs. I'm sorry, what? This book is classified as a horror, but to me, it's more of a literary fiction with horror elements. It wasn't necessarily scary to me, just more so disgusting. Needless to say, I will not be eating a fish eyeball anytime soon for good luck. And my last honorable mention for this list is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. This is the first book in the Secrets of the Nile duology. I just recently bought the second book in the series, and I've been putting it off because I don't want this world to end. I read this book completely on a whim. I picked this up as my 2023 free book for my birthday with Book of the Month. I read it in early 2024, and it just remained a standout for the rest of the year. If you're into archaeology, if you're into the 1800s era, if you like Egypt, this is seriously the book for you. And this ended on the biggest cliffhanger. My back is killing me. So that was all of my honorable mentions for 2024. Now we're going to dive into my top 10 books of the year in no particular order, although I will be saving my favorite book of the year for last. Starting off this list, we are starting strong, and it is with one of my favorite horror books of all time. This is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Klewer. Klewer? I'm not sure. When I tell you this book set me down a Reddit rabbit hole after finishing, it totally did. The research, the theories, the added mixed media elements within this book was just unthinkable. This book is pitched as Get Out meets The Parasite, so if those are the vibes you like, definitely pick this one up. And it's another debut. I've had so many favorite debut books on my list this year. In simple terms, we follow this couple who just recently purchased a house, and they are planning on renovating it. One snowy night, there's a knock at the door, and it's an entire family asking to come inside because the dad had previously lived there. From there, chaos absolutely ensues, and I give it a big 5 star. There were so many little details and things that I probably didn't pick up on the first time that I would love to reread this one day. Next up is another book that I randomly picked up with Book of the Month, and it is Annibot by Sierra Greer. I have seen a lot of mixed opinions about this one, but all of my friends that I have gotten to read this have also loved it, so at least I have that going for me. In this futuristic world, humans can buy and create girlfriends, boyfriends, robots to satisfy them on an emotional and physical level. They can clean your house, they can pick out your clothes, they can cuddle you, they can watch TV with you. The robots are so human-like, it's almost scary. Okay, it is scary. After finishing this book, I seriously was just staring off into the unknown. Men are terrifying, humans are terrifying, technology is terrifying, AI is super scary, but yet it's so intriguing to me. I gave Annibot 5 stars. It was a short little book. I could have read 100 more pages from this and I would have loved it just the same. Next on my list is the book that gave me literal nightmares for about 7 days straight. Bunny by Mona Awad. I will never ever look at a bunny the same going forward. Thank you very much. If you ever find me joining a cult, period, but if you ever find me joining a cult led by hot girls in cute little dresses, please do a welfare check or something, because something would be seriously wrong. This is a horror book that's seriously too hard to explain the premise of. You just have to dive in knowing that it's weird, it's gruesome. R.I.P. bunnies. I got my friend Alan to put this on his 12 books for 12 months in 2025. So I really hope he ends up loving it. I'm very nervous because he's either hit or miss on some of the books I like, so I'll be anxious to hear his thoughts. I kind of want to do a reread, which sounds kind of crazy since this affected me as much as it did, but it was just so wild. Like, this book is so weird, y'all. So weird. Next up we have Open Throat by Henry Hoke. This cover is everything. I love this book so much. It's another tiny one that made its way onto my list. I randomly picked this audiobook up on a flight from California back home and I finished it in one sitting. You might be a little bit turned away by the premise, but just hear me out. This entire book is told from the perspective of a mountain lion. Yes, you heard me right, a mountain lion. This mountain lion is queer and he's dangerously hungry. He's living underneath the Hollywood sign out in California. I say dangerously hungry because LA is drought infested. Not only drought infested, so it's hard for him to find water and food to survive, but also there's fires, which is super relevant right now because as I'm filming this, there's a bunch of fires out in California. So not only are we following this mountain lion trying to survive, we're also in his mind where he's learning about humanity. We follow how destructive humans actually are from a different set of eyes. This was the perfect book at a perfect time, and I will definitely reread this in the future. The biggest 5 stars from me. Next up, we have another tiny book, and it is Guillotine by Delilah S. Dawson. Again, I picked this up on a flight and ate the entire thing up. Genuinely, so freaking good, and I can't wait to read everything else that Delilah S. Dawson has ever written. This is gory, this is uncomfortable, and if you've ever wanted to eat the rich, this is the book for you. The one thing that stands out to me about this book is the most obscure, unhinged unalivings that I have ever read in a book, period. Again, this is an enthralling revenge story. Maybe have something about liking revenge stories. I might have to dive into that in 2025. But this is about elitist family members. It's fashionista forward. The audiobook for this one is also fantastic. This book leaves you thinking, just how far would you go to achieve your dreams? I would not go near as far as the people did in this book, but can I say it was so much fun without being side-eyed? Because this was so much fun. Speaking of being side-eyed, please don't side-eye me too hard for this next one, but it is Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. Jesus. Yes, I know what you're thinking. How did a Tessa Bailey book make your top 10 of the year, Alexis? I don't know. Don't ask me. I either hate Tessa Bailey or love Tessa Bailey, and this is a unique one that I just loved. Fangirl Down, no. I was down bad. I was down bad for this golfer, Wells Whitaker. And the fact that I can still remember the main characters' names from this book should mean something, because typically when I read a book, it's in one year and out the other. This is a romance between a professional golfer and his caddy or cart girl. I'm pretty sure this is in my top 3 Tessa Bailey books of all time. The first and second being It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, and Sinker. We got my grandma this book for, I think, her birthday. So, Gur, if you're watching this, please update Mom and I when you read this. I'm really interested on your thoughts about some of these scenes. Oh god. Anywho, I gave this 5 stars and I'm intrigued what she's going to do in the next book that comes out this year. I can't think of the name of it. It's something like Dream Girl Drama or something along those lines. I'll put a picture of it here on the screen. Next up is a very controversial book to be on my favorite books of the year, and it is Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I don't know if I've ever seen so much dislike for a book online before, but let me tell you one thing about myself. If Daddy Riley Sager writes a book, I'm going to be reading it. You either love this book or you hate it. And I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. My dad read it. He gave it 5 stars. This was just the perfect atmospheric, slow-paced summer thriller that I could ever ask for. It was also set in the 90s in a suburb of a town. I love the word suburb. And we don't know if what's going on is actual crime-related things or it's more on the paranormal side, but that's what we figure out within here. I'll read you a little bit of this blurb because I don't want to give away too much about this thriller. It just says, a man must contend with the long-ago disappearance of his childhood best friend and the dark secrets lurking just beyond the safe confines of his picture-perfect neighborhood. Like I said, you either love this or you hate it. I loved this. If you know, you know. Billy from this book, I would give my heart to, not my soul. I need my soul intact, but my heart, I love Billy, and he deserves better. If you would ever catch me crying over a thriller, it would be this one. We have 3 more books to talk about on my top of list, and one of them is Monstrilio by Gerardo Simona Cordova. I really hope I pronounced that correctly. This book is told in 4 different parts following 4 different characters, which I wasn't expecting, but I absolutely love. To start off this literary fiction horror book, we are following the perspective of a mom. Her son just passed away and she is grieving. She decides to open up her son and carve off a little piece of lung to keep. Wild. Then the lung starts mutating and growing into this little carnivorous monster that we know as Monstrilio. I have never wanted a stuffed animal to be made based on the characters in an adult book before, except with this little guy. I would love to have a Monstrilio stuffed animal. Anyone out there knows how to create one? I would love to see it. If you're into weird books and like weird things, this is a 5-star from me, and I think you would really like this one. Next up, we have my favorite romance of the year, and it is Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. Before even starting this one, I knew it was going to be a romance that I would like, and I loved this. This was all kinds of weird and literally had everything that I love about the unknown in one book. The romance is between a paranormal conspiracy theorist and a web series producer. They have to combine forces and investigate the unknown while also unearthing serious feelings for each other. If you like cryptids, if you like the Mothman, aliens, Bigfoot, this is the book for you. It combines all of those weird and unknown beings with a little dash of romance. The second book in the series comes out this year, and I quite literally cannot wait. Now, if you've made it this far, it is finally time for my favorite book of 2024. I couldn't pick, okay? I feel like I need to start doing my rankings by like favorite romance books, favorite thrillers, favorite horrors, XYZ. But if I had to pick one standout book for the entire year, it is this one right here, and this is Sleep Tight by J.H. Marquardt. I got this one with Book of the Month, and I'm so happy that it did. We follow the perspective of the sole survival of a serial killer. She knows secrets, she knows past information, and she might just be the key to stopping a new round of killings within this world. I buddy read this book with my dad, and we both gave it 5 big stars. I definitely say this book falls more into the horror thriller category than just mainly thriller. There's definitely some spooky and supernatural elements that add into the chaos of trying to solve these crimes. I also got my friend who hasn't picked up a book since high school to read this book, and he ended up loving it. It seriously contains so many fun elements, if you want to call them that. There was an elusive fun house, there was a silent nun, and honestly, you had me at a killer priest. A killer priest. There was just something about that I loved so much. I know this author has like 2 or 3 backlist books that I haven't read yet. I also hope this author has some other works up his sleeve for this coming year. Just like that, we have already made it through all 20 books, my honorable mentions, and my top 10 reads of 2024. I'd say 2024 was a pretty good reading year for me. I did have an average rating of 3.69, so not the best, not the worst. I'll definitely take it. I did have a lot of standouts, but I also had a lot of flops this year, so hopefully in 2025 we can get that turned around. I loved making this video, and hopefully I'll start making some more videos in 2025. If you miss seeing my face on this platform, head over to Instagram and check out my account there. It's the same username as my YouTube channel, Alexis Reads a Lot. Also, comment down below what your favorite book of 2024 was. I'm very intrigued, and I might just have to give some of them a read in 2025. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I will catch you guys soon in another video. Bye!